Hello, our friends. Take like 46.
Take 47.
Take 47. Thanks to, the power structure that is, as they have been just shutting us down one video after another. We can't get them up whether it's on phone or computer. Yes. But we did get something up on Patreon. So, those that are patrons, we want to thank you guys. We see over here that we had 8,000 to 10,000 voter registrations that were dropped off at Muskegon City Clerk. This is up in Michigan, that were fraudulent and would have been counted. These were not counted. Would have been counted if not for the Michigan City Clerk and mice who caught the woman dropping off these ballots. And so the point is, how many got through? Again, the point is we're in the apocalypse. So everything's being unveiled. The system is being unveiled. And, it does seem like a movie. And speaking of a movie, here's Rob Schneider with a tweet. What could go wrong with releasing 2 billion GMO mosquitoes? Because mosquitoes have a tendency to bite people, right? Interesting. They give you an ouch. And we see the EPA has authorized the release of 2 billion more on top of the ones that have already been released in Florida and in Texas. Yeah. But the AP says, don't worry, we've checked, and Gil Bates, that mosquito project is not responsible. So go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Meanwhile, the question is, are cities being barricaded in Peru due to an alien attack? And this whole alien situation has really ramped up the attack on us and getting videos up much, much more.
Oh, it's been bad. I'm just sitting here watching, waiting for it to finally just stop recording. It's been so frustrating. And yeah, it just happens to be almost every time, something like this when we're trying to... I think they're causing a lot of chaos. They're throwing a lot of information out there to make people doubt at this point. So that's where we're at.
So as we see again, barricades up where people are trying to leave the area, that's really curious. I don't know if that's verified or not, but it's curious. Meanwhile, 8 years ago, Peru had an alleged humanoid being flying through the air that was covered by a lot of radio and TV talk shows, as well as the news. And Peru is a hotspot. It really is. There are certain places that just seem to have a lot more of these situations happen than others. Now, 2 reasons to be very careful flying. You have 2 pilots incapacitated. United Airlines on the 9th, August 9th, you had a pilot that had a heart attack, lost consciousness in flight. And then on August 7th, you had a co-pilot from Taiwan that had a medical emergency right when they landed. Wonder what that could be. Rhodes, Greece. 24-year-old Konstantina died suddenly August 8th. She just received her piano degree, went out for dinner with friends to celebrate, sat down at the hotel, piano to play, suddenly clutched her head, blood streaming from her nose, collapsed on the keys. We send prayers to the family and to her. Here you have Pure Sunshine, 16-year-old, died from heart complications at Texas cheerleading camp. I don't know, but I can't ever remember seeing all these in times past. What do you think it could possibly be, as he says in a facetious tone? Youth basketball star Caleb White is dead after collapsing during a workout at school. 17-year-old was a top 25 high school basketball star in the country. It's being investigated. And again, we send the prayers to those families as well. But did you know that if you shower, you could have a heart attack? Just got to let you know. I mean, gardening, showering, I guess just the very act of breathing. Meanwhile, over in Maui, with 1,000 people missing, unaccounted for, Jeff Bezos' $85 million house survived the fire without a scratch. Well, it's just good old luck, right? It's just good old luck.
Yeah, it's just, luck.
Yeah, I think Oprah's place was fine too. She just bought like 2,000 acres. And here we have a UAP caught during yesterday's Virgin Galactic spaceflight. Yeah, it's always been ETs. That's the wake up call here. Loud blast wakes up Victorians. Mysterious fireball shoots through the sky. And the reality, too, that there is a galactic war underway. And when we look at a lot of these videos of these fireballs, they all do the same sort of thing. Now, this one has a little different feel to it. This feels a little bit more out of control.
Yeah, I mean, that one feels like really it is a part coming off of something.
Yeah, so they said, don't worry, it was just Russian space junk. It was probably from a rocket, maybe, but actually, the vibration feels a little bit different. But it's just like the Starlink satellites. Now, anytime we see a bunch of objects moving together, it's got to be Elon, it's got to be Starlink. Well, this must be a Russian rocket. It's not that it could be a reptilian rocket or anything.
Indeed.
We've seen so many things out there from the International Space Station, including the fact that even though their hair might be going upwards like there's no gravity, sometimes they'll drop a pencil off a desk and the stage will be revealed. But then other times, they're purposely showing things that they want us to think is our ships, and this is where we got stuck before. The reality is that all of our myths are based in truth, and that truth is so many things that we took to be, monsters, vampires, demons, angels. In reality, they're just simply extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, inter-Earth beings, and some beings that live under the sea as well, that still call Earth home.
Yes, some live in a pineapple under the sea.
I know one. He's yellow. And you guys might recognize Medusa here with people being turned to stone. This was an interesting CIA document. Reveals ETs destroyed Russian troops using some Sodom and Gomorrah type weapons in 1990s. We kid you not. It's declassified CIA archive that you could go and look up. Russian soldiers literally turned to stone. And again, we've seen numerous occasions where we've had brush-ins, firefights, whatever you want to call them, with different ETs, and it usually doesn't really go too well for the humans. So here the report said 5 humanoids of small stature with large heads and large black eyes emerged from the wreckage of a fallen vehicle. They fired a brilliant white spherical ball of light towards the Soviet military, buzzing and hissing. The strange object exploded, turning all 23 soldiers to stone. 2 survivors of the battle with the aliens told the others what happened. And this is in CIA archives. And, the Russians, they have a lot of interesting stories to tell, too. Not everything is as it appears. And just because a lot of stuff is not aliens doesn't mean there are not aliens. Of course there is. And just because 46, might not be 46, it doesn't mean that, again, everything that we see is not real. They want us to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They want those of you to, think it's all Project Bluebeam, so there must not be aliens. That's the whole point of Project Bluebeam. It's all the point to make you think some people, it's not aliens. Other people are going to think it's aliens. And we're just going to argue about it. And meanwhile, they're moving ahead with the agenda.
They sure are.
There is evidence all around the world that there's been very quick, very massive cataclysms that have just eradicated entire civilizations. Our history is not accurate. Timelines are not accurate. Here's another buried temple in the sands of India. There's a bunch of them that are almost completely under the sand. And some of them are spectacular, others not so spectacular. But it certainly speaks to the whole concept of mud flood or, just cataclysms that are so sudden, people don't have a chance to do anything. And just like Maui. Fire from the sky, lights from the sky, and the next thing you know, everything is burning up around you, and people are jumping in the water to just survive. Oh, there is so much technology that's going to be revealed in the coming days that is going to blow people's minds. Meanwhile, obviously Budweiser's not doing so well. I have no idea why. I mean, I thought that was America's beer. What could possibly make it so nobody goes to the Budweiser tent? Do people have a problem with something? I don't know. What did Budweiser do?
I know. It's a tough one there.
Yeah, and by the way, Heineken. Gil Bates owns Heineken. Just for any of you, if there's anybody out there that's still drinking Heineken, do you think there's a little bit of nanu in that?
Just a wee bit.
I wouldn't doubt it. Maybe there's some GMO mosquitoes floating around in that vat.
Or two.
So the last thing you ate is what you have to name him. Well, when we first made this video, I don't know. I can't even remember the last. I guess it would be eggs.
I guess it would have to be pumpkin seeds.
Ah, yes. Pumpkin seeds. I think strawberry was the best.
Yes.
But what about you guys? Let's hear. What would you end up having to name them if you had to name the last thing you ate? And do you want to hear the sound of cuteness? Let's see. Okay, I think this. No, that sounds on too. Okay. I mean, it sounds just like a real baby. And the love between the mother and her baby is just like a human real baby. And I know some people are brought up not thinking that, but again, everybody that's a regular here, I think you think that way too.
We're all one.
So an abbreviated version, much love, guys. Thank you for your patience. Stay prepared out there. Come join us on Patreon. It does support the channel, and it feels like we have trouble getting things up on the other ones too. There's days I can't get anything up on Rumble, Brighteon, or Bitchute. Take your pick.
And I just got to say that they are compartmentalized. Depending on what we talk about, they won't upload them. So
yeah, if you talk about the more spiritual side, or you expose the mainstream religions, Brighteon is going to be an issue. It's different things for different channels, because again, they understand they're drawing a certain audience. This is what the CIA and FBI do. They compartmentalize, and they learned it from their masters, which are not human.
indeed.
God bless and namaste.
Namaste.